Yes, everybody, welcome back. As I mentioned earlier, we have a guest. Nelli is joining us from Canada. She will be starting her new job on Monday. We wanted to invite her here and share her experience during the course and entire process. The question is, what were your feelings at that time before the program started? And what's your feeling right now?
I'm quite a skeptical person. So at the beginning, it's again, we wanted to change the career. I immigrated to Canada, and I was obviously looking for different ways of, being part of the Canadian market in terms of being a professional, like working and helping out to the family. But when you told me that, I was still skeptical. I said, okay, I'll do my best and then we'll see. It's usually the approach that I have. And right now, of course, it's exhilarating, very exciting. I'm very grateful both to you as an instructor and to the course and to my group mates. That's a huge thing. I mean, the way how the person can transform and as well as the knowledge that the person can gain in a span of last 5 or 6 months, it's an amazing thing. There is only one caveat that I want to throw. Is it gonna be a difficult journey? Yes, definitely. And you should be prepared for that. But how it's usually being told to other people is if you're prepared, even if the tragedy is coming towards you, I think you have a high chance of, surviving and coming out with a grace and a good result. So if people just realize that it's going to be a difficult, but it's not like going to last for you forever, right? It's commitment of 5 or 6 months. Then at the end of the journey, you're definitely going to see good fruits. You'll have nice results and your family members will be excited and happy for you and the rest of the community.
So can you please talk about your study, how you managed?
Okay.
As I know, you have two kids, one of them is small. So as a mother, how did you balance this? How did you manage this?
I have two kids, and when I started the course, she just turned 1, so it's quite a small baby. Um, so that's what we did. My husband would finish his work. Our lessons would start in the evening, like you said. Like that's how it was arranged. There were moments when I was holding my baby in front of the screen, trying to listen to you, what you were explaining. So, and taking my notes at the same time. There would be messy moments like that. And it's totally understandable because everyone has families, everyone has commitments. However, there is another point. The only time when I could study, it could be like first 3 hours at night after people would go to sleep. For other people who are listening to me, you definitely have your own schedule. You have your kids, maybe different ages. Maybe you don't have to be bothered about kids in general at all. Who knows, right? But what I would advise to the other people who are taking that course right now, they should be allocated a separate time, free, without any noise and without any disruption. Kids coming to you asking something like your help, your husband, your wives, you should be able to agree with your family members as well to get that support because otherwise, it's quite hard. I mean, let's be frank. You listening to a 3 hours lecture, let's say, even if it's a recorded video when you have your free time after your part time job, do you think you would be able to understand and retain the terminology that you need that you're going to use at the interviews? No, it's quite impossible. I think just, attending the lesson, if you think that's enough for you, I don't think it is. I think you should put extra hours and hours to what you're doing right now, because otherwise, when you sit at the interview and it's not like 10 or 15 minutes of conversation, even if you have great communication skills, you have 45, 50, sometimes 60 minutes of interviewing with the panel of people. And I had like twice in among those 6 interviews that I've done. And it's very conversational. It's very open. People can ask you through a very abstract type of conceptual questions. And if you have not got that foundation prior to that, if you have not sat and watched, I don't know, hundreds of videos to that point, it will be very hard for you to, sustain that conversation. That will be very hard to do. Like you said at the beginning, get obsessed with cybersecurity. That's the only advice that I could give to you. I remember your first lesson when you said, okay, you do the LinkedIn, read the posts, listen to the podcasts, and then watch the documentaries, watch the movies, depending on your style. But the only way of kind of becoming comfortable with what you're gonna face in your interviews, I think you should be able to submerge into this industry. You have free time, listen to the podcast. You're washing your dishes. I don't know, watch a movie was the side thing. This what you could do actually during your free time.
In general, Nelly, we have module 1, module 2, and module 3. Module 3 is a bit short, like 2 weeks, job preparation. So if you compare the module 1 and module 2, what you can say, what type of study did you have in module 1? What is in front of the cohort 2 students in module 2?
Module 1 was intensive in terms of studying because we knew that we had to get the exam. I would give a side note. When you will prepare for the exam, it will be a little bit of different. You will prepare the questions or simply say memorize certain questions just in order to pass the exam. You should know that. Module 1 is important because it's foundational. So for the people who are now working on networking questions, guys, it's very important because sometimes in interview they ask you to. So in order to understand the attacks, you should understand how the networking on a deeper level happens. So all of those like OCI levels, the TCP IP framework, you should be able to understand how it works on a micro level so that later on when you will start seeing in module 2 the tools themselves, towards the end of module 3, that landscape start to grow. It's like you are starting, with when you're working in a big city. Let's say you are working in Istanbul and it's very noisy and loud for you, right? Traffic, cars everywhere, shops are everywhere. But then let's imagine that you sit inside a drone and the drone starts to fly up and you start to see it from the bird's eye perspective. That would happen towards the module 3, towards the end. Because at the beginning, maybe you will feel confused. You start, and usually how the humans learn, right? You want to see the general picture first, and then you want to go to the small components of it. But in the way how the course is structured, you start seeing separate parts first, and then it will start putting as a big, huge puzzle towards the end. And then I assure you, towards the end, you start understanding, oh, now it makes sense to me why we're seeing this tool and how that specific tool fits into the landscape. It will happen towards the end. So just be a little bit merciful on yourself. Don't be frustrated that you don't understand certain things because they will start making sense later in the journey.
What was your experience with the practice? I mean, in terms of study?
That was fun when we did the virtualization. Like we had our lab, and then we got some tools metasploit to build inside certain like Windows system, Linux systems. I mean, that was a very hands-on experience. Of course, is the utmost best stuff that could be done to the students. Because you do it by manipulating it, by working it out, by playing with it. I only wish for myself, I wish I maybe spent more time on my own by doing extra things. Another thing is the tempo was quite high intensive too. You will be seeing lots of assignments. And for me, I try not to postpone. I did not procrastinate towards the assignments. I tried to do them on time. And even if I tried to do them on time, towards the end of third module, there was stuff that I still could not complete simply because the amount of workload that you have to do. I think it was a good thing, but my maybe advice to the people who are taking the second cohort course, maybe if you have chance of sitting more in your home lab at home and do it and explore it more beside the assignments that you give and assign to you, that could be a huge plus. Because what I did towards the end, when you prepare your CV and you list all of those tools that you claim that you know them and you give it to the potential employer. What I did, if I did not remember tool clearly, I went back, I did the Google search, I watched the videos just to make sure that if person, randomly would pick up a tool on my CV and ask me, I should be able to explain it even in a simple terms.
Were you asked any questions, the tools that which you mentioned in your CV, which you mentioned the tools there, but they ask you the question, some tools which you didn't indicate your in CV?
No, no. What they usually do, they would take and they say like walk through your CV, whatever you have claimed that you've known, and you list it to them. That's what usually they do, because they also realize majority of the tools they have a general similar nature of how they operate. So they will be similar in terms of the name could be different, A, B, or C. Let's say for SIM, for example. And they realized as long as they ask you foundational questions, they'll be fine. Because employer also understand if you are capable of explaining what you have claimed on your CV, then most probably this person with the onboarding process where they teach you the tool again, they will teach you everything. So don't be stressed about what if I don't know something. They want to see a potential. They would ask a specific questions with regards to each tool. And if you're capable of listing certain key words that's related to that tool, that would be enough.
After completion of module 2, then module 3, then you entered the market. Basically, you applied for jobs, you received some feedback, and you are invited to interviews. So how did this process, in general, happen? What is your experience with the interviews?
The interviews, good question. Now, there is a difference between American market and the Canadian one. That's what I have realized. You were telling that when you get recruiter call, and it could be in the middle of the day when you're not ready. So when you prepare your CV, you send it out, make sure that you're available, your phone is close to you, your kids are not screaming. So that's very important because people call and they start asking you questions right away. Unfortunately, in Canada, it's a little bit different. They want a video call and it's 45 to 50 minutes call with technical recruiter. And believe me, it was not light-hearted as I was expecting. Like it was two guys, each of them, we did 15 minutes for each. They were very aware of all the cybersecurity topics. I mean, they were capable of holding that conversation. It was kind of a real interview to me when we had the conversations. Was the first technical recruiter and was the second one. So the both ways were very serious interviews. That was very long. I felt very exhausted. And they said, no, we do not accept the call. We want the video call. We want to see the person, as much as possible through the screen. We did 2 rounds. So the first one was the hiring manager with whom I'm going to work. And it was 50 minutes. With the second one, it was a global director responsible for the cybersecurity division. And that guy was tough. I mean, it was, we passed the 60 minutes, but you have still more time to talk. And I said, yes, of course, I'm free. I could not say, can we please stop it? Because I feel really sick in my stomach because he was such a tough guy in terms of, you can't impress certain people. It's quite hard. And the second guy was like that. The people, and he was, I think he 50 something, very old. You feel like he's very experienced. He have seen the life. He knows what he's talking about. And he's not an easy person to talk to. The first hiring manager was the Canadian one. He will work from Toronto. He was quite more conversational based. He asked, how do you use SIM? How do you use your ETR solution? What would you do if the user clicked on the phishing email? More conversation based. But the second guy was very hard. And I think he did the decision of, to press on a green light and go and pick me or not to pick me. I don't know. But I'm telling to you guys, before the interviews that were scheduled, I would be sick, stay at home sick, and then after the interview was over, I was sick for 1 more day. But it's like, the psychology. If you're mentally very strong person, you you are fine with meeting new people, talking to them for 1 hour that I see for the first time. If you're fine with that, then hopefully it will be less painful than it was for me. I will say it was very hard. All of those 6 interviews that I had, they all were hard.
As you mentioned, you became sick before the interview, during the interview, and after the interview. Yes, it happens. It is not easy. Some of the questions will be hard. It is a psychology war, but it will pass, right? We need to keep this one in mind. So you need to pass through this process, and hopefully at the end, when we land on a job, all of these pains will go away. So do you feel that?
Yes, I do. I mean, I will give you. Look, it's like in those who still remember from 90s, the movie Matrix was the Neo and Morpheus giving the 2 pills, red and the blue one. So just imagine the blue pill was your comfort zone. Like if you take it, you can continue with your life without challenging yourself, first of all. But if you take that red pill, it could be your new dimension, new reality, but it's also risk. It's exposure yourself to the things that you've never known. And I will give you a side note. I was never a technical person. I was never into technology, not even interested a bit. I didn't have certain social media accounts for 7 or 8 years. I'm very, very boring, old type school type of person, like mostly maybe books, sometimes documentaries, movies with my family. That's it. But what I'm trying to say is, if you are willing to study something, and you will be taking out of your comfort zone by preparing to the interviews, and it's very hard for especially introvert type of people who are, let's say, shy or not feel exhilarated when they meet new people. For me, it was hard too, because you try to battle with your own personality, right? I mean, to the new group of people, I'll not be having fun out of it. I would prefer sticking to the people that I know. I'll sit somewhere in the corner, talk to 2 or 3, and that's the maximum that I can do. That's my commitment to the social activity. But here, you consciously prepare yourself, and and you talk with the native speakers, right? You should be able to have a small talk. You should be able to, I don't know, throw a small joke, talk about the weather, ask how they're doing, maybe throw some global issues while you're talking to them. So I think because all the crisis with Ukraine started when I started actively, looking for the job, for the past 2 weeks, half of our conversation would still be mentioning war or how anonymous group is somehow related to the conflict, what's going on with the Conti ransomware and stuff like that. So you do incorporate all the global issues that's going on in the world in your conversation with your employer.
Nelly, one more time, thank you very much for your time. And I hope that you will be in touch with our colleagues in here, I believe. And if they have questions, they can reach out to you and ask their questions. You are open to that, you already mentioned. Good luck in your new journey. As you are aware, this is not the end. This is just the beginning.
Thank you. I also would like to say a few things. Thanks a lot for having me today. Feeling very grateful and insightful. The only thing is, guys, during the lessons, try to be as active as possible. Don't shy away. Contribute your ideas, because only by asking questions, only by staying active during the course, there is a high probability that you will learn from each other more. Even if you're a little bit shy, work on that. Try to reach out to, if you're comfortable, try to reach out to your friend. Make a separate, I don't know, channel with the ladies, among the ladies. I don't know how that work for you. Maybe that's more convenient. But be active, because there will be moment when people kind of silent, and even if you push them, Gurkhan always tries to, okay, what are the ideas? Guys, please talk. And he always constantly say, guys, please talk. And people who usually talk, they start feeling, oh my God, I'm the only one who is talking, so maybe I should just sit. No, we're all grown-up people. We consciously came, we are taking this course, we are spending all of the resources that we have. So we should learn something and we should be active. That's the only way out.
Thank you, Nelly, for these reminders. Yes, really, I want everyone to be engaged in the class. As long as you ask questions, you engage in the conversations, it will be really helpful for everyone. We would like to hear different ideas, okay? Join the discussions, please, and learn actively. It will help you a lot.